Now it's time to learn about ellipses. An ellipse is the set of all the points in a plane, the sum of whose distances from two fixed points is constant. Each of those fixed points is called a focus. If we talk about both of them, plural, we would call them foci, the foci of the ellipse. So in this ellipse, we've got, here are our two foci, and what we mean is the distance from this point, P, the distance from here to here, if it were added to this distance, that would be the same as, let's say, this point that's also on the ellipse. The distance from here to here plus that distance from here to here. So no matter where we are on this ellipse, adding those two distances from the point to the foci, adding those two distances together, we would get the same value. So the way that we write an equation for an ellipse, we're going to start with the simple ones where the origin is the center of our ellipse. If the a squared, let's just make sure we understand this, we're going to use a squared and b squared, and a is going to represent the bigger distance out of the two. And so if our greater distance is in the x direction, that means the major axis on this one would be on the x-axis. Then we're going to have x squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared, and it's going to equal 1. A has to be bigger than b here. It has vertices at plus and minus a, comma 0. Endpoints of the minor axis are plus 0, comma, plus and minus b. So these are on the y-axis, and our two vertices where the a is the value we're using are going to be on the x-axis. And then our foci are going to be at plus or minus c. And the way we can calculate c is by taking a squared and subtracting b squared. So we take the larger number, square it, subtract the smaller number, square it, okay? And in this case, I mean, we're doing the same thing in both cases, just in this case, the larger number a was on the x-axis. Coming down here, if we make the major axis on the y-axis, then now we'll have it written as x squared over b squared plus y squared over a squared equals 1. Again, a is the bigger number. A is bigger than b. So the vertices now are going to be at 0, plus and minus a, endpoints of our minor axis. So the vertices are the ones that are on the major axis. Otherwise, we just call it the endpoints on the minor axis. So they would be plus or minus b, comma 0, since they're on the x-axis. And then your foci, again, we're using the c, where we calculate the c value by c squared is equal to a squared minus b squared. So the foci this time are on the y-axis. So their points will be at 0, plus or minus c. When using the relationship that b squared plus c squared equals a squared, because if we move the b squared over here, that's what we get, b squared plus c squared equals a squared, or the way we've put it up here, that a squared minus b squared equals c squared, we need to choose a squared and b squared so that a squared is bigger than b squared, otherwise we'd end up with a negative value for c squared.